The soul is where music is born, where peace begins, where truth hides. To care for your soul is the greatest act of self-love. For in the end, what we were fades, but what we are at our core remains.
Good morning, Nigeria. Good morning, 042. Thank you for joining us again today. You're tuned in to Sunrise on Aneke TV, your favorite person brightening your day every morning. I'm Deborah Wakoba, coming to you live from our studio here in vibrant Enugu.
And I'm Uche Osai. Wherever you are, at home, in traffic, or in your office, thank you for letting us into your space this beautiful Monday morning. We're here to refresh, inform, and motivate.
And it's Monday, August 18, 2025. We are here again with full package of news, weather, trending stories, and that exciting sunrise vibe to help you begin the day.
So, relax, sip your tea or coffee, and enjoy the ride, because sunrise has begun.
And firstly, we would start off with our quote of the day with words that can be educative, encouraging, and worth drawing insights from in order for us to remain focused and well-driven.
And right after that, we would give you today's stories from our newspaper headlines. All the key updates you need will be served hot and tasty.
We've also got the weather report for today, covering cities across the southeast, which will help you get well prepared and let you get ready for today.
Later, we will take you through today's celebration to lift your spirits.
So our quote of today is coming from a well-known Nigerian writer by name Chinua Achebe in one of his novels, Things Fall Apart. In this quote, he says, "If a child washes his hands, he could eat with kings." I repeat, if a child washes his hands, he could eat with kings. It means that if someone prepares themselves properly, no matter their background, they can rise to great heights. Just like a child who washes his hands is clean enough to sit with kings, a person who works hard, learns, and carries themselves with dignity can stand among the great and successful in life. And I would like to hear your own view on this, Mr. Uche.
All right. Chinua Achebe, through his great work, The Things Fall Apart, tries to tell us or underscore the importance of cleanliness, hard work, and discipline. Just like the good book said, show me a man who is diligent in his work.
Yes.
He will stand not before mere men,
but
before
kings. Yes, that's true. That's true. And we should not forget that preparation and effort determine how far we can go. So always be prepared no matter what and be determined to achieve something. We'll go on a short break, and when we return is the weather update.
You're still watching Aneke TV. Stay tuned as we'll take a look at today's weather across major cities in the southeast.
Okay, now over to Awka. In Awka, expect a cloudy start with temperatures around 21 degrees Celsius. By noon, showers set in and continue through the afternoon before easing towards evening. The day highs will reach 26 degrees Celsius.
In Enugu, the clouds dominate the morning with temperatures beginning at 23 degrees Celsius. By late afternoon, showers will move in and linger into the evening with highs at 28 degrees Celsius.
And in Abakaliki, it begins with early morning showers, giving way to steady cloud cover. More rainfall is likely from mid-morning through early afternoon, with temperatures climbing to 28 degrees Celsius, rain continues into the mid-afternoon.
And coming to the driving city of Owerri, Owerri wakes up to a cloudy sky with showers developing around noon. Temperatures rise gradually, peaking near 29 degrees Celsius in the afternoon.
And lastly, in Umuahia, clouds linger through the morning and early afternoon. By mid-afternoon, showers are expected. The highs around 29 degrees Celsius, keeping the late day raining pattern going.
So, wherever you are in the southeast today, stay cool, dress light, and keep an umbrella close. Rain or shine, we've got you covered. That's your weather report for today. We'll be right back with more updates.
You're still watching Sunrise on Aneke TV. Let's see what's making front page news today in The Nation, Punch, Vanguard and Guardian newspaper. On today's show, we have again our in-house analyst, Mrs. Chiwendo Ifeoluwankwo. Thank you for joining us today, Ms. Chiwendo.
Thank you very much
You're
for having
welcome.
me.
Ms.
You're looking
Chiwendo.
good.
Thank you very
Beautiful
much.
too.
Thank you very
The
much.
weekend was so relaxing and it's showing.
Yes.
Reflection.
Yes, it
You're
was.
welcome.
Thank you. Now, on the Nation headlines, we have the APC trounces opposition in legislative by-elections. And over to the Punch headlines, FG backtracks as NLC holds ground. Now to the Vanguard headlines, how APC swept by-election. And lastly, the Guardian headlines, we have over 10 banks, insurers risk forced merger in race for new capital. Now in the Nation news headlines, Nation reports that the APC, which is the ruling party now, has won the contest of over out of 17 federal and states. They won 12. 16. Okay, they won 12. They won one Senate.
The APC.
Yeah,
Yes,
APC
the
won
APC.
12.
the 12 seats out of the 16 that are...
Yes, APC won 12.
open
APC
for-
won 12. And
APGA
won 2.
two.
PDP won and NPP won, making it
Yes.
16.
16.
Yes.
Okay.
It was spread across.
Across, like
Yes.
Oh.
So do you have any say on this?
Okay, when we look at what played out over the weekend, we'll understand that you can say the issue of incumbents played out here. Are you getting it? The issue of incumbents played out because all the places that APC is holding ground, they made sure to maintain their roof. And you understand more what I'm saying when you come back to Anambra, who has the APGA as their own party. APGA made sure that they maintain the seats. Get down to where NMPP took sway and PDP. So you understand that all those places where the people that won actually took the seats, you understand that is because the leadership of the place is actually the party in question.
Okay.
So they made sure to guard their ground, their environment very, very well without any form of interference. They made sure to close up on all the areas that, if you call it outside interference, would have come to taking over what they feel should be for them. So that is why you can see AMPP, PDP, APGA, and APC taking the floor, taking the lead in all of these things. And that goes to show that we didn't see anywhere where ADC made any impact. When you go across all the major headlines today, you find out that they are saying the same thing. We are yet to see where ADC made an impact. But again, that means they have a lot to do. ADC still have a lot to do.
Yes.
Though, of course, it's like still a newborn baby due to the coalition that collapsed themselves with the existing ADC. Now, as a new frame, they have a lot to do. They really need to launch deeper and do their assignments very, very well. That is, if they actually plan to make any impact come 2027. If not, I am seeing the issue of incumbency taking the lead here.
Okay. So talking about the issue of incumbency taking the lead here, were there instances of vote buying?
Yeah, Places like I read, was it Ogun,
Okay.
where they said they made arrests of, yeah,
So in all,
alleged that they were
in all there were alleged instances of vote buying,
buying
and
pockets here
what
and
about
there.
what about violence?
I am not sure of that report.
So
I'm not sure
how
of that
is the
report.
influence of the governors or party leaders play a role in all this?
Yeah, they played a maximum role. Reason one, like most of these governors, they've done their local government elections, and they made sure that they, both the chairman and the councillors from different wards are from his own party. Now, these councillors and chairmen are like the foot soldier
Okay.
of the governor in all the nooks and crannies of the state, different wards. The governor won't have to step out of the government house to do that. They are the ones to make sure it's like something entrusted to one's care. You will make sure nothing happens to it, even at the expense of your life. You, that the councillor from that ward,
Yes.
even when the governor may not be doing, but because you are the councillor from that ward, you will want to deliver your ward.
Okay.
Because you are the chairman of that local government, you want to deliver your local government.
Okay.
So even when the opposition is coming from with massive innovations and good package,
Yes.
and you actually know that they are coming in to help, but because of where you are standing at the moment, you want to deliver so that you will not falter. Because if you fail to deliver and opposition takes sway, automatically you know what it will mean by the end of the day. There must be change in hand,
Yes.
no
Okay.
matter how you want to see it.
That's true.
All right, and we've seen the opposition parties call out the ruling party and the government for what they describe as high-handedness in terms of vote buying and insecurity, violence, like the issue of Kajuru in Kaduna State. I think the opposition are complaining about the whole process, and likewise in many other places. However, I for one, I don't think I'm surprised, because my surprise stems from the fact that APC didn't win the 16 constituencies that were at stake.
Oh, that's even where you're
That's why I'm
surprised.
surprised. Yes.
Oh, you even
Yes.
thinking that they should have closed up on it.
Yes. My
Really?
surprise comes from the fact that
didn't clear.
Why so?
I saw Abga. Perhaps I would say Abga may be an offshoot of APC, because I've seen the collaboration between the government in Anambra State with
And
the ruling
the
government at the
center.
federal. Yes, but my surprise really is that I was expecting to see 16 over 16.
No, why?
Reason.
Why?
Why?
We've witnessed spades of defections,
Okay.
endorsements for the president. I was expecting with this level of defections and endorsements that APC will sway. I wasn't expecting the APC.
To score 12 over 16.
Yes, yes.
But
Given
the
given the
ruling
fact
party now-
that I don't expect much from the coalition at this point in time,
It's
being that
so
I
new.
still look at them as
Yes.
being in their baby,
Formation.
in their formation, they are still
Yes.
taking their baby steps,
Yes.
and there are a lot of issues bedeviling them. You get this? So, my surprise is that APC is celebrating 12 constituencies, and the president has called to congratulate the chairman of the party for job well done, the governors and the leadership of the party. I still think that APC shouldn't sit on their laurels.
No. I have a divergent view from
Okay.
your surprise.
Okay.
In as much as you're surprised that it should have been 16 over 16,
Yes.
but I feel that it's normal. It's
Okay.
fine with the outcome of Saturday's outing. Reason, in as much as I am from Abga and I held the government at the center, but that wouldn't change my disposition as an APGA member, APGA loyal member. I remain where I am, but whatever thing you are doing up there, I'm in support of it. So, and as much, I should be able to cover my own,
region.
yeah, my own jurisdiction. Take good care of it. But whatever thing you're doing there, so long as it's fine, I give you my support. I think that's what actually played out here. The NNPP man, the APGA man, and the rest of them. Yes, we are here. But whatever thing you're doing, we are in support of you, no problem.
Yes, that's
And
what
we
that's
also
right.
want you to come and support us. But I wouldn't give up my jurisdiction to you now.
Yeah.
All right, you know that on this show, we pointed out that this election, this by-election, it was or is going to be a show of influence, right? In Kaduna State, for instance, the likes of Nasir El-Rufai, you're telling me that he wasn't able to pull any weight. The likes of Peter Obi in Anambra State wasn't able to pull any weight. It's surprising to me that these heavyweights were subdued or over-influenced by the governors. Should I be looking at it that come 2027, that will be the trajectory of the votes in 2027?
No, I know that party like APC will be like, this is a tip of the iceberg come 2027. People are going to see worse than this.
Yes.
But no, ADC at this time, in fact, we shouldn't even see, anywhere we see them flying candidates, that means it shouldn't be a plus for them. Do you understand? But at this time, they are not grand. Who knows ADC before now? It is as silent as any other small party, AA and the rest of them.
Yes, they are
as
small party. But when you put the likes of the former Senate President David Mark,
that is where I am going.
Their secretary,
I know,
who's been a former governor, a key stakeholder or was a key stakeholder in the APC. Then you look at the likes of Peter Obi, Nasir El-Rufai, and then we are saying,
no, you cannot. When did they launch?
Irrespective of when the party was launched, these are politicians who have been on ground.
I know, but there are apparatus you should look at. There are indicators you should look at. Though they were making waves from which platform, not minding how long they may have stayed in the system or in the field. But the truth remains that the current platform where they're flying high now, you can call them, in fact, they are still at their embryonic stage. They are still forming, that at the formative stage. Until this is done, you can't say much.
So in other words, you agree with me that the APC shouldn't sit on their laurels?
Of course. If they ever try that, that would be the worst mistake.
So going by these results, 12-2-1-1. Yeah, I expect Kano NNPP to take so, but I'm surprised that in the Kano State is where the immediate past chairman of APC came from, Malam Ganduje, and they have high-ranking officials from the state as well, and then NNPP is still holding sway.
And that comes to tell you that I am not really wrong from what I said. So long as the incumbent, it has a role to play there.
Therefore,
because it already has its full soldiers on the ground.
I may not be wrong to conclude that this will be the pattern come 2027.
It may not,
because
really
these full soldiers you're talking about will be on ground and will be more grounded before 2027.
And that is why I kept on saying that at this point you cannot say anything about ADC. It's still forming, that it has the whole of the remaining part of this year.
Yes.
It has the whole of next year, and just as you mentioned, they are big horns in the system. So now, come 2027, or rather before the 2027, they would have done what we are expecting them to do. Then we'll now get ready for 2027 and see how it plays out.
All right, we join to congratulate the president and the APC on their victory, taking over 12 constituencies And we are saying that they shouldn't sit on their laurels. That 2 years is a whole lot of time. That a lot of things could happen.
Yes.
And I think there should be a call on the opposition to sit up, re-strategize, and then get ready to get into the battlefield. Thank you. Moving on.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. And over to the Punch headlines. FG backtracks as NLC holds ground. Now the federal government has pledged to reverse deductions from the Employees' Compensation Scheme managed by the Nigerian Social Insurance Trust Fund to ease tensions. We could see that sometime last week the labor workers, they were about to go on a strike, or the strike had
Gave a warning.
They gave a warning strike for a week,
Yes,
1
they
week,
warned the
and then saying that the government should look into their trust fund, something like that. So I don't know if you have anything to say concerning what the FG has said, that they've reversed the deduction.
Yeah. The truth is that, or the fact on ground is that the MD, that's the managing director of NSITF, Oluwaseun Fale, confirmed the deduction.
Okay.
But he is saying that that deduction wasn't a fund diversion.
Okay.
But going by the federal government policy introduced December 2023 that requires all government-owned enterprises to remit half of their internally generated revenue as a way to help federal government to sit up
50%.
Yeah, 50%. But the NLC, the Assistant General Secretary, Christopher Aneke, is arguing that NSITF is jointly owned by the workers, employers, and government. Therefore, shouldn't be treated as a revenue-generating body. Though the reverse order placed that has taken effect since March 2024 should be maintained and nothing should go wrong. So this is like a positive response to last week's outcry by NLC. So, and I think is a good and the right position in the right direction.
Okay.
So that's
Yes. Is a step in the right direction,
It's
indeed.
very good
Yes,
step in the right direction.
at least the federal governments have listened, and in all they've communicated, and they have that conversation that we talked about the last time, that there's need for communication to reach an agreement, and then a possible strike has been averted because the federal government has complied to one of the demand, which is the reconstitution of the National Pension Commission Board by appointing Epeyemi Abaje as the chairman.
Okay.
Yes.
Yes, to stand in for them.
They've appointed a chairman for the National Pension Commission Board. So that has been taken care of. Then coming to the issue of money, that's another issue, because you remember, Pencom told us that this baby
It's still growing, yes.
is alive.
Yeah, remember, alive
and growing. That nothing has happened to the money.
So
do you understand?
To say, confirm that
there was a
good coming from the Minister of Finance and the coordinating Minister of the Economy, Wale Edu, reminding us that yes, that what happened, it wasn't a diversion, but as a result of government policy as at 2024, that 50% from accrued revenue from every government agency should be remitted as revenue to the government. So it wasn't a diversion, but as a result of policy, you understand, to generate revenue. However, they've agreed that this will be what? Reversed.
It's not just that it will be reversed. They are saying that it shouldn't be done, and they shouldn't treat this body as they are generating body
Yes.
or revenue generating
So
body.
in
That
this
it
case,
shouldn't
in this instance, I should think that there was a miscommunication. Now that the minister has come to clarify things, it wasn't actually a diversion, but as a result of federal government policy. So what at this point the federal government will go back to the drawing board, or this money with these deposits with the Nigerian Trust Insurance Fund, social fund, shouldn't be tampered with or be exclusive from this policy. But my concern with this is that why would a government agency come out publicly to tell us that this fund has not been tampered with?
Yes.
only for them again,
In fact,
or from their
from their position,
confirm.
that the baby is alive and is doing well.
So
Only for NSITF that was moot at
For a
this time.
long time, yeah.
Didn't say anything. Now came out to let us know that it was indeed moved as revenue based on government
what
based on
are
government
they trying
policy.
to cover up there?
So the issue is that our agencies should learn how to communicate.
And be transparent,
In
dealing with the people involved.
However, in all, we would thank the federal government for their quick response, for coming in and making sure that this strike
Did not take
did not take place,
Yes.
because it would have impacted negatively on the economy
Negatively.
and on the common man. So we salute the federal government for this quick response, and we wish that we will see this fast response concerning other issues that is ailing the nation.
Yes.
Yes, and then congratulations to the new chairman, Obeyemi.
Okay.
We hope that he will manage the fund and the process, everything around it very well, that NLC wouldn't come out to threaten strike in the near future concerning this.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And that's all. And please do not forget, you can also grab physical copies at your favorite vendor or catch the e-papers online. After the break, it's time to unwind a little. We'll be sharing a celebration today, so please stay with us. Welcome. You're still watching Sunrise on Aneke TV, and today we have a quirky celebration. Well, mostly there isn't any widely recognized international holiday that is being celebrated today, August 18th. However, some organizations or groups may observe special days, but they are not universally recognized internationally. Now, but one of our quirky celebrations which we have today is the Never Give Up Day. And the Never Give Up Day is all about cultivating a mindset of determination which help us to get through all of the difficult challenges that life throws our way. And it is about motivating and inspiring ourselves and others, as well as remembering people that have never given up. And there are ways in mastering the art of never giving up. And why this day is all about never giving up, we realize that it's a lot easier said than done. Like someone would tell you, don't give up, continue. But then it's not about saying don't give up, continue. But there's something at least that should be said, or something that should be made to encourage you. Now, one key ways where we can master the art of never giving up is by trying to pause and not quitting. You can start by pausing or not and not quitting. You don't need to go full steam ahead all the time. Sometimes pausing and taking a step back or taking a break can be exactly what you need. It would give you a brand new perspective on things. It enables you to find the wisdom and strength you need for the next step. And resting is also a weapon that a lot of people fail to use. When you're tired, you rest. That's why we have day and night, and we all know most times the night is for resting, so you can gain that energy in order to move forward the next day. And another key is also to motivate yourself. Now, losing motivation is something we can all relate to. I can relate to it, and this is why you need to look for ways to motivate yourself. You can try and figure out what works for you. This could be watching, listening, or reading motivational materials, or listening to something that helps you improve your daily activity. Like, for example, you might want to read a book, but then get something inspirational, something to elevate your spirit. And then we also have something which is called surrounding yourself with people who are resilient. And the people around you can shape your mindset. Then you try and stay close to those who push through challenges, not those who quit. Like, try staying with people that can make you want to be better, that can make you want to try and make you want to go forward and not quitting. And then lastly, we have, let's be honest with ourselves. And this is actually the main key. One of the main reasons why people quit is because they have not been honest with themselves. And being honest with yourself is about how you feel, what you want, and who you are. Example, if you don't really like the job you are in right now and you simply pretend to like it because it is what everyone expects of you, then you're going to be more inclined to feel like you want to give up. So let's today try not to give up, and then find something doing. Like we said earlier in our quotes for today, we said what your hand finds to do, try doing it well, or be open to what you're trying to do, and you find out it won't be difficult for you. So let's use today not only applauding people for reaching their goals, but also to support those who are still trying to achieve their goals and have not gotten there yet. You can also text someone by encouraging them not to give up and tell them that they are doing great, or they can read motivational stories to encourage themselves. And also, back to our quote of the day concerning From Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe. It says, if a child washes his hand, he can sit with kings. And so let's not forget that each sunrise is a place where we try and learn new things. And also, please drop your thoughts on what the quote means to you on our handle at Aneke TV across Facebook, Instagram, X, and YouTube, or call our phone 070-3043-7110. And that's a wrap on today's edition of Sunrise on Aneke TV. Thank you for waking up with us. It's always a pleasure. I'm Deborah Wakoba.
And Uche Osai. Remember, you're not here to be average. You are here to be amazing. Stay bold, be unique, and keep watching Aneke TV. See you same time tomorrow. Salute.
It was Joseph Schumpeter who posited that democracy is an indispensable mechanism for selecting leaders through elections to the actual process of choosing rulers, and franchise is a pivotal process in the electoral process. In that same vein, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has emphasized the need for popular participation in the registration of their voters' card for the 2027 general elections. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC), saddled with the responsibility to organize, conduct, and supervise elections at all levels in Nigeria, including presidential, gubernatorial, and legislative elections at the federal and state levels, that also have the responsibility to register eligible voters and maintain an accurate voter register, recently announced its plans to commence the continuous voter registration (CVR) from August 18, 2025. The Commission also proposed to include inmates in the forthcoming 2027 general election, emphasizing on inmates' voting rights. This is as the electoral empire has re-echoed the need to seek the intervention of the National Assembly on the matter. When this happens, it will be the first in the history of Nigeria. These singular acts have, however, drawn different opinions from the public.
In Iboze South local government area, what we would do and have begun doing is sensitization. Sensitizing not just the youths of Iboze South about the registration, but also sensitizing the women of Iboze South. Don't forget, some were not around during the last round of registration. They were probably outside the local government, residing somewhere else, so they are now back home. Or conscientize them. Like you rightly said, the youths, constitute the substantial number and majority of the populace. Some of them in the last exercise were not up to age enough so as to participate in exercising their franchise. This time around, they have now grown and they can exercise that right of participation, in voting. So we conscientize them in secondary schools, in churches, in villages, during cultural festivals. These are the sensitizations we have championed, we have brought up, making it for them to know that it is as good as it is religious, that they enroll themselves in that platform where they can choose leaders and leadership of their choice in the next turn of general election in the country.
My name is Obu Obina Samson. I'm a youth administrator and also as well I work with Aneke pastor, Aneke Care Foundation. Listen, concerning the continuous voters registration, I think it's very, very important because by law, once a youth is up to age of 18, he or she has the right to vote and be voted for. And the failure to go for the registration will eventually means that youth will be denied of his or her fundamental human rights of voting or voting or to be voted for. So what it means is that every youth that would want to exercise their franchise come 2027 should try as much as he or she could to go for the registration and participate in the voting. Very, very important. Without the registration, there's no way you participate. Because I know some will be clamoring for retention or change of government. But there's no way you can effectively carry out your plan without going for your registration. So it's a clarion call for every youth there. If you know that you are up to the age of 18 years, go and do your registration so that you'll be eligible enough to participate in the forthcoming election. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Abastik, a medical practitioner and Secretary Guild of Public Affairs Analysts of Nigeria, a developmental analyst. For some of us who have gotten their voters card, I say kudos. It's a civic responsibility. You can't sit on the fence and be shouting. You must actually have your voters card to say this is whom you are going to allow to be elected. The last election we saw a lot of young Nigerians who were shouting a particular candidate on the street, but turned out that they didn't have a voter's card. The election day, they only walk from afar, to those casting their ballots. Now, INEC has given us the privilege again in the name of continuous voters register. Ideally, that registration should be a continuous process because people turn to 18, every day, every minute, every second. So I think what I would say, those that have not gotten their cards, those that have not gotten the card for the first time, those that have lost their cards, those that actually want to change, those who have just attended 18, our university students, they should avail themselves the opportunity of becoming a full-fledged citizen by having their voters card to enable them perform their civic responsibility.
And they should decentralize the registration process. What I mean by decentralization is try to engage, if it is possible, by private sector partnership. Use agencies like MTN, Glo, as a means of hastening this registration. If possible, they should decentralize it even to the local government area, even ward level to be better off, to make it more easier. Instead of clustering to a place for registration, you can go to your various ward and then carry out this registration effectively without any stress.
All eyes are on Aneke to unfold its plans to the general public to ensure a free, fair and credible election come 2027. However, this is a clarion call to the good people of Nigeria, a call to rise and choose your leaders, a call to come out in mass to register, get your PVC and vote. It is time to take hold of our country, Nigeria, to be patriotic because Nigeria is ours. Therefore, get your PVC. Chidemi Kemede, Aneke TV.
Ibai. Ekelemu. Ojo wani yeje gondo. Ndo ana atoka. Yana anawanke nyano nawo. Ibai adino. Ogorogondo. Aruike. Ọdụmma ibeji ene ndụ anya na onye nwere ibeji ene ndụ anya na-elufuta nwuru ya ịmara na nsogbu riri ya olise bụ anyị na-ekene gị Chukwu okike onye ogologo ndụ na ogologo anya na-ahụ udo na ọchịchị anyị na-ekene gị na-ekene gị maka tata na-ayọ maka echi maka na ọsọ maka ebe echi anya amara na ya dịka echi na echi anaghị agwụ agwụgwụ na ihe ya adịrị anyị mma ọ ya dịrị onye ọ na mma edikwazi ọgbaghị nọ ya ahịa na-anọdụ na n'Igbo eke oye nkwọ awụ na ọdọmma ndị be anya onwekwana ihe ọzọ na anya enye ndị ichie jupụtara na-ere ntu
na be anyị mechi na ọ bụ ọkụ na anọ anyị adawo aga ọjị a na-awa ha abịa ji na ọjị na-eke ịkya na a na-agụ ya a na-ejide ọjị na-eka nri anụ m ịghachi ihe kere ihe na ihe wara ihe Chineke nna kere enu ke anụ m akpọkụ ndị ezigbo mmadụ niile nọchawọrọ ndụ na amechi ọkụ na anọ na anụ ọkụ na anọ na anụ Nkanụ na anụ Nta Egbe na-ese na anụ Enugu steeti na-asị biko na ọ bụ ha metere ihe ọma ka anyị na-asị ha gbadata ha bịa tara ọjị anyị na-asị Eke ka Eke ketere anyị ihe ọma anyị na-asị Ahwọ ka Ahwọ ghọtara anyị ihe ọma anyị na-asị Nkwọ ka Nkwọ kwọtara anyị ihe ọma anyị na-asị Orie ka Orie rutere anyị ihe ọma ihe ndị a niile ka anyị na-arịọ nna sị ka ị bịa mere anyị wetere anyị udo n'ala Igbo wetere anyị udo n'ala Naịjirịa wetere anyị ịhụnanya wetere anyị ọganihu wetere anyị ihe niile bụ ihe na-eme obodo adị mma nna biko ihe ndị a ka anyị na-arịọ kwetewo na imeworo anyị karịa ka anyị rịọrọ n'ịhwa Chineke nna kere enu ka ana bụ Chukwu okike abịama
ndị be anyị ọjị abịa anyị na-ekene osebụlụ ụwa ekene chukwu okike nna ketara anyị ogikere igwe ka anyị na-ata ọjị anyị chọrọ iwe ọjị ị na-awa n'otu awa n'ibe asị ka ị goziela anyị taa ka ihe ọma hụkwa gwute anyị na-akpọku ndị nna nna anyị ha bụ abụ ndị mere ọhụma goziela anyị eke gozie orie gozie nkwọ mee ka ndị ọbụla na-agagharị na-achọghị ha ga-eri mee ọhụma na ndị sokwa ụzọ ọtọ ndị kwụkwara ụzọ na-eje n'ụzọ kwụrụ ọtọ soro ka iwu chukwu ji wee dị chukwu na anyị si ka anyị wụọ gị a tata nde udo na ọrụ na-aga m n'ihu ka ọ dịrị anyị mma ndewo anyị na-ewepụta ile ọjị na-egosi ụmụnna anyị okenye na-awa ọjị ndị ọzọ na-awa ọjị na-ele enye ile ọjị nsọfụrụ maka na ebe a n'ọnụ ile ọjị a ka eji ama eziokwu iweta ọjị onye ọzọ na-asa ile ọ ga-eji na-ekwu eziokwu onye sara ile weta ile ọjị were na-ekpe ekpere were na-aga ọhụụ ọ ga-ekwuneta eziokwu ọjị a anyị na-enye nsọfụrụ ọjị lụọ ịnọ otu a ata ya o ruo ise atakwa ya mana o bido ruo na asaa ịma na ị ga-egbu anụ ị ga-egbu ọkụkọ.
Welcome to Aneke TV, the heartbeat of culture, truth and innovation. From breaking news to inspiring documentaries, from grassroots traditions, mysteries of life to global perspectives, we'll tell your stories. We amplify your voice and your vision. With every screen we light up, we connect, inform and empower. It's more than a television. This is Aneke TV. We move with the world.
The soul is part of us that survives every storm. You can't see it, but you can feel it in silence, in longing, in every heartbeat that keeps going. It asks for more than food and fame. It hungers for meaning, for stillness, for the divine. The soul is where music is born, where peace begins, where truth hides. To care for your soul is the greatest act of self-love. For in the end, what we were fades, but what we are at our core remains.
When stories are lost, things fall apart. That powerful reminder sets the tone for the Things Fall Apart Festival 2025, a celebration of Igbo heritage, art and identity. It is a reawakening of the spirits of a land through the lens of cultural legacy. This year's edition of a Things Festival explore the journey of remembering, retelling, and reimagining the soul of the Igbo people both at home and in the diaspora. At the heart of the festival, the Center for Memories brought to life the character of Unoka as portrayed in the timeless works of Chinua Achebe. Unoka, the musical soul of a people, became a symbol of harmony, peace and love, echoing the rhythms of traditional Igbo life, During July 2025 edition of Nkatu Mibe, a monthly distinguished speaker series organized by the Center for Memories, scholars and elders illuminated the values that form the bedrock of Igbo society. A decentralized system of governance rooted in collective responsibility, wisdom-filled proverbs, witty sayings, and a reverence for ancestry. Reimagining in this context means returning to the roots, the four sacred market days, Eke, Orie, Afo, and Nkwo, which form the Igbo calendar. It is a call to remember Allah, the Earth goddess, and to restore balance through Umuada, the daughters of a land, who stand for equity and justice. This festival also drew parallels between Achebe's classic Things Fall Apart and today's realities, the loss of language, fading customs, and the urgent need to preserve identity. It reaffirmed that in Igbo culture, music was more than art, it was communication. It also showed that power was not in weapons, but in wisdom and in the bands of yam a man could harvest. The director of the Eastern Nigeria International Film Festival, Mrs. Obianu Juakal Nwakalo Akokwe, was the guest speaker for the July edition. In her presentation, which she entitled Onoka, Things Fall Apart When Stories Are Lost, Reimagining Igbo Through Cultural Memory, highlighted that in Igbo cosmology, the living, the dead, and the unborn remained in constant dialogue. She used Unoka's musical fluency to explore the spiritual essence of the Igbo worldview.
We often speak about Igbo as a land, a place on the map. But Igbo is more than geography. It is a worldview, a way of being in which community, spirit, and nature were so deeply connected. So the Igbo believed that life itself was spiritual. That was and still is our philosophy, a sense of purpose, wholeness, of Ubuntu, if you will. And when we speak of cultural memory, it is not nostalgia, it is survival. To reimagine an Igbo through cultural memory is to walk back through the smog of colonial disruption, spiritual erasure, and economic devaluation and retrieve what was almost lost, our dignity, our designs, our spirituality to which our moral compass is tied. Before colonialism interrupted and recorded our value systems, our culture had created space for all kinds of people. There was room for the musician, the storyteller, the dibia, the hunter, the farmer, Diji, the palm wine tapper, Diochi, Dimba, the wrestler, Dinka, the creative person, and so many of them. Back then, strength was not only measured by aggression, power, authority. It was also measured by wisdom, empathy, and restraint. But times changed. What changed? Colonial rule, missionary teachings, and later on, our own internal anxieties and insecurities. They turned us towards a narrower version of manhood, one that glorified dominance, immoral wealth, and excessive materialism. And in that shift, Onoka the flautist, the gentle father, the man who preferred music to war, became everything we were told to reject. But I want us to also pause even further and think. Onoka was not just a passive figure. He was a creative, a dinka, a master of music. And in a society where professions like DG and Diochi were honored for sustaining the community, the dinka held a vital role too. He was the conscience of the community, the one who gave expression to joy, grief, conflict, and hope. His flute was not mere entertainment. It was a vessel of memory, emotion, communication, and collective reflection. And like all true artists, like myself and many others, he carried what others felt but could not say or express. Music in traditional Igbo life was not entertainment alone. It was communication, it was ritual, it was resistance and rest. The flutist was not idle, he was integral. And Onoka's role as a flutist, when understood in this light, was not one of failure but of function. His art served a purpose that our modern metrics no longer know how to measure. And Achebe, Chinua Achebe, masterful as always, gives us a glimpse of this in the wrestling scene. And that is my best scene in the book. When Okonkwo prepares to wrestle Amalinze the cat, the sound of the flute floats in the background, a sound that reminded him about his father that he so despised. So even in Okonkwo's greatest moments, where he is at his most physically powerful, Achebe brings back the presence of Onoka through music. There's a lot packed in this scene: family history, identity, remembrance. And I do not think that it is accidental. That is memory. Unoka might be the one reminding us to slow down, to breathe, to live fully in the moment, to live life because of tomorrow, the very things so many of us are now trying to relearn. And there's something deeply ironic in all of this, that the very traits colonialism taught us to dismiss, tenderness, creativity, and emotional openness, are now celebrated around the world. And the traits we were made to embrace, stoicism and relentless striving, are the very things unraveling many of us from the inside. Because before all of that, our culture had created space for everyone. We lost that, not by tradition, but by disruption, and we are only beginning to remember. And maybe Achebe was not only showing us Okonkwo's tragedy, but offering us a quiet alternative. And maybe he was whispering that our future as a people does not depend on Okonkwo's fire alone, but also on Unoka's way of being, that both are needed and that neither should be forgotten. And maybe our loss of cultural memory is not simply about forgetting facts, but about forgetting our options, forgetting that there were once many ways that made us Igbo. Because when stories are lost, it is not just memory that disappears, it is identity, unity, spirituality, and even vision. We begin to lose our sense of honor, of home, not just as a place we return to at Christmas to show off our beautiful cars and mansion, or a place to perform culture by wearing red cap and displaying our isiago, but honor as a symbol. We forget that in Igbo cosmology, life is not linear, it is cyclical. And that to forget is to fall out of rhythm with who we are. And Igbo, in my opinion, didn't fall because the white man came. Part of it. But I think it fell and continued to fall because the stories stopped being told and documented. Our cosmology, the Igbo cosmology, was never random. It taught us that the dead, the living, and the unborn exist in constant dialogue. That names carry memory, that rituals are not superstition, that's structure. They map our time, our values, and our place in the world. But when memory fades, language begins to sleep, and with it, we lose the frame through which we once understood everything. Because to name is to remember, and if we can no longer call on the names of our deities, like Akwali Omumu, Ogugu, Udo, or speak of Ofo Nogu or Ikenga without discomfort or apology, then we are not merely forgetting, we are unlearning who we are. So what do we do now? We reimagine. And reimagining is hard work. It is invention rooted in remembrance. It means returning to the sources of memory that still linger among us and shaping them to meet this moment. We do not have to look very far to begin. The fragments are still here with us, some whole, others cracked, but still alive with meaning. And perhaps the first of these is our language. Let us begin the reimagination with our language. Our proverbs are short, but they carry weight. In just a few words, they pass down lessons, values, and warnings. The Igbo do not shout to teach. We whisper wisdom in lines like Ebe Belu, Ugo Belu, and trust the hearer to understand. These are not just sayings, they are political blueprints. They teach justice, equity, and diplomacy. Then we turn to storytelling. I remember the moonlight evenings filled with riddles and tales of the tortoise, not just to entertain children, but to teach society. These stories carried lessons on greed, humility, cleverness, and survival. Our market days, Eke, Ore, Avo, Nankwo, they weren't just names on a calendar. They shaped how we lived when we gathered, traded, rested, celebrated, and even buried our dead.
na mbụ ọja m na-asị ekekele ụwa na ọkwa ọja ekenekwa gị na eluigwe na ala na-ekene gị na urukpuru na kpakpando na-ekene gị na ugwu na ndịna na-ekene gị. Ọjamana ekenekwa ọka okwu gwara anyị okwu mmiri dolo edo na-asị mmiri dolo edo na ọ ya abalụ gị. Mmiri dolo edo na ọkwa ọja na-ekene gị. Maka ka onye si eme ka ekwe si akpụ ya, ka onye si eme ka ọja si akpụ ya.
The director of the Center for Memories, Mazi Ihanyiboko, added with conviction in his words, "Home is supreme. When things fall apart, we must reimagine Igbo land through cultural memory, especially through the oral transmission of our shared knowledge."
Home is supreme. Home is supreme. Home is important. When things fall apart, reimagine Igbo through cultural memory. As a people, we cannot move forward without an idea of who we are, what we do, what we are known for. That is culture. So we need to reignite our cultural memory to be able to transcend the now. Right? We need to begin to look at where we are coming from to be able to project into the future. So it's a very important conversation for a people, our people. So there's no better time than now to have this conversation.
Already, the reawakening spirit is heightened. The core remains clear, and that is, tell the story, hold the memory, and pass the cultural legacy of Ndibo. Jidofe Ebuche, Aneke TV.
Aneke Television has rewarded the Chief Security Officer, Mr. John Okeke, who led operation leading to the rescue of the abducted 13-year-old girl at Isiago Mumba community in a Zagu local government area with a brand new phone. Recall that through Okeke, the Isiago Mumba's native doctor and ritualist Levi Obieze, known as Ida Ezani or Ide Play Ide Show, was exposed, and discovery of dead bodies in pits sealed with concrete in his compound was made. Also, the 13-year-old victim, Okamaka Okonkwo, whose abduction led to his exposure, was rescued. Presenting the item, the Chief Executive Officer of Aneke TV, Chief Pascal Onyeka Aneke, said the gesture was the organization's little way of thanking and encouraging Okeke, whose effort and insistence led to the rescue of the victim. Chief Aneke, represented by the manager of the TV station, Chibike Frederick, expressed gratitude that the Chief Security Officer did not accept the offer of 10 million naira given to him by Obieze. Responding, Mr. John Okeke commended Aneke TV for remembering him, saying it was the first time he received a gift since the incident. He pledged to do more in securing the community and its environs.
This gift is already entered my hand. May God bless who will give me, and it's in family. I no longer talk. I'm so happy because I don't know what God do. Only God knows how's everything. But what I know is this, may God bless him, bless his family, bless everybody who put their own interview and their own interest on me. In Jesus' name.
Okeke also narrated the true picture of the incident.
My name is John Okeke, CSO.
Okay.
Isiago. Whatever, oh God, everything. God is everything. Because this bush here now, if you enter there, I will see my wood there. When operator saw for me for long months. Then the owner is telling me that he gets some wood. When my operator saw that, I no talk with him. I will go and get the wood so that I will come and pay him his money. So I get one woman that I do bankane for, and then I carry their banga. They go in house. As I go and finish, I enter the bush. This bush here. So when I enter inside there, that's kind 7 o'clock like that in the evening. So I take my touch phone, look at the wood finish. When I'm coming back, I can see one machine enter, just enter and stop. The machine no longer coming in. I need to go out. I can't stand the bend of my own. They look at the machine. As I'm seeing the machine, one person come down from the back, and then you see one child in the center of the driver and the person where the person carry. I say, okay, this is kidnapper. I come long, straight, come out for Fidel house. That Fidel is cat keys. So I tell the Fidel, kidnapper is this here back of this here house. Then he said, you want to ask me so much question, I leave him. I meet one man, Elias. He see they do something very distant, I leave him. Then I went to what in Apollo. He's selling Pami, Bitayam, and some things. So the boys was there. I tell the boys, they never enter here. What you going to do for me is this. I'm going to go carry the machine. Because now that machine is next move out food to them. I still come here. I won't enter here. Come this place, see the woman of Ezra, and I ask them, where is their husband? Because I want to see what thing that happen for their back of their house. I don't know say it's in work. The woman tell me say it's not around. I come out, meet their boys for this outside. The boys tell me say the guy is around. I now enter there. When I'm going there, I see the man. They point for touch phone, this kind of phone. So who's coming? I tell him, say, now your in-law, my in-law. Come down. Enter and say, this here back of this here place, kidnapper is there. Say, it is not happen. This town, this and that. Maybe they don't enter Omongwari side. And I say, Zana. Then me and him, they try to come out. As I cross this house here now, this place now, this thing told me like ton table. Yeah. I can't turn back where I'm just to come out. Tell me, say, what thing happened? Then I say, something wrong here. From there, I began talking. Go and say, make I just do me transfer of 10 million. The thing can't enter my head. I tell I say, this kind of thing cannot happen. Instead of you happen, now I'm not the exact land. I can't carry some and put from out. Once I done like that, I can't come out to meet my security, Ephraim, then I say, see what thing that happened from Pom market, make when I go there. That time I come, danger myself, come out, enter here. When I come, the black one, we don't carry her out, they beat them. And they hear sound of the child inside the house. I don't go there. Enter that place, there for soccer pit. We just enter there, carry the girl, come out, give them Angus. That Angus now isn't gonna somebody. He said, now that Angus, now I know because you don't hear him voice. He said, now I'm brother. I can't try to give her. That time when I enter there, now I see dead body. Is there many? I can't shout. This man, this place is occupied. Dead body is here, plenty. As I come out, before I come out, there's and don't come out. Follow this place. Load there. From that place, you just take them, come out. We're starting quarreling. As we go, carry the other first one, go. They say there are people who come and attack us. We carry and go our bridge before police. Zero Zude. Now I don't know so why I call. Make you come help me. Say what they carry me for this in my village. Zero Zude long come. As you come, you call DPO, Mumbai Division. Then come carry the boy go. Then we'll still come back. As we come, that time we'll just come. We get one GV tank. Go there from inside, I'll put that GV tank down. Water they fall out. Somebody they come out from there. Another person. My life is a human being. That one will drive the machine. Just long, and now you know how to enter for the GV tank, inside GV tank. So, as we carry and come out, I ask and say, you know me? He said, no. I tell and say, now that person where he say he get a umbo. I say, okay. Now maybe that is secret where he say he meet for bush. If you dey hear the interview, they're going from here, we'll go to the interview. Then carry on Kamaka for back. They carry on the Congo. That I don't know who built Kamaka. If I say I'm for road now, I know now.
She knows you.
If what I know is I know now. I don't know who built Kamaka. But what I know, I don't carry the girl out. I don't carry her out.
For Aneke TV, it's been Chinwendo Ifyonwankwo reporting. A foremost historian, author and academic, Professor Chima Jacob Korie, says Igbo-speaking communities represent a significant part of the diaspora. Professor Korie stated this during June 2025 edition of Nkatu Ibe, a monthly distinguished speaker series organized by the Center for Memories. In his presentation, which he titled Igbo Gade, Reclaiming the Igbo Blueprint in the Cultural and Political Evolution of Sub-Saharan Africa, Professor Korie argued that Igbo migration was the largest migration in human history.
That began some 5,000 years ago, and perhaps, if you look at the map also, an extension of that migration to what I call the African diaspora in the New World. So, what is important, of course, is to understand how the Igbo people were critical to these two levels of migration. Internal within Africa, external within the African diaspora. And I mean by the word here, diaspora, if you look at what is today the United States, Trinidad and Tobago, Haiti, Cuba, Jamaica, there's a large proportion of black people in those parts of the world. What is important for us is to think about how those people ended up in what is today referred to as the New World or the Americas. Perhaps 70% of those who ended up in the African diaspora from what is known as the Bight of Biafra were Igbo speaking. Right? So, they constitute a very important part of what is today known as the African diaspora. Perhaps in a state like Virginia in the United States, 60% of black Virginians have Igbo ancestry. The same with Cuba, right? So, I'm looking at those two forms of migration and to think and understand why the Igbo is important in assessing those migrations and their outcome. So let me place some, there's some emphasis on the Bantu migration, which occurred within Africa. And when I talk about the Bantu migration, I want you to look at it from a linguistic point of view. How and why is the Igbo language related to Kikuyu, spoken in East Africa? How is the Igbo language related to Xhosa, spoken in Southern Africa, right? How is it related to so many other languages in what is Sub-Saharan Africa? Linguistically, the Igbo speak a language that belongs to the larger family of languages known as Bantu or Niger-Congo. There's close to 100 million people across Sub-Saharan Africa speak these languages or related languages, collectively known as Bantu languages. How did this happen? What does the Igbo have in common with Kikuyu, as I mentioned earlier, Kosa, etc.? They share a common linguistic affinity. Scholars have explained this through the phenomenon known as Bantu migration or Bantu expansion. By 1000 BC, in a series of migrations, Bantu speakers had spread south of the savannah, across Angola, and to the great lake regions of East Africa. Over the next 1,500 years, they scattered throughout the Central and Southern Africa, interacting with indigenous people and absorbing those indigenous people as they moved along. Their migration throughout Africa is one of the largest migrations in human history. A migration that began 1000 BC and continued to the 4th century AD.
The professor of history further examined how agricultural practices in its various forms were peculiar to the Igbos and how it was their chief source of employment.
It can be speculated that the ancestors of the Igbo were part of these Proto-Bantu speakers whose knowledge of agriculture, especially tuber production, yam production, and iron working technology helped to people and colonize the rest of the subcontinent. If I had mentioned, the Leja, right? Iron works, which I think is phenomenal. If you go to Leja in Nsukka, that people were already working iron smelting here, centuries back. Those skills were very central, and the knowledge of yam production in the way the Igbo people began to expand and leave this area as they seek new opportunities for agriculture and absorbing indigenous people they encounter. Some of you may come across, if you look at Central Africa, the people they call the Pygmies, right? Have you heard the word Pygmies of the Congo, right? Those are indigenous people that these Bantu speakers, with their superior agricultural knowledge and iron technology, were able to absorb those people. But their language never remained sort of like Igbo. They incorporated other words from those existing languages. But what is important in terms of understanding the Proto-Bantu languages is that there are elements of those Proto-Bantu languages that have been returned, right, in sub-Saharan Africa. For example, we use the word Omo, right, to refer to children of Omocheze, Omodis. Most Bantu speakers have the same prefix, Ba for people, right, Bakongo, and so on and so forth. So, a number of theories have been put forward to explain this migration. There is speculations that overpopulation encouraged some groups to move to new places in search of fertile land and in order to practice agriculture. It is important to emphasize that both the development of agriculture and the existence of unusually high population density have been a defining character of Igbo land even to today. The long history of plant domestication is evident in the large variety of food crops and edible plants in Igbo society. The variety of crops and plants attest to the antiquity of agriculture in Igbo region, including plants like, Africa rice, Guinea corn, Hungary rice, Bambara groundnut, etc., okra, and many, many others that were domesticated in this area and gave these migrants the skills and tools they use in expanding and conquering the rest of the continent. Now, accounts of captives of Igbo origin in the New World provide an unusual and rare glimpse into the agricultural and exchange economy of the Igbo. If you look at the walls over there, there's a picture of an Igbo ex-slave known as Olaudia Equiano. Anybody heard about Olaudia Equiano? Right? No? Okay. So Olaudia Equiano was born in an Igbo village in 1745 and was sold into slavery when he was 11 years. Equiano recorded later when he wrote his autobiography in 1799, he recorded life and livelihood in his village. There are speculations that it comes from Iseke, which is today in Ihia. And he talked about agriculture, 18th century, that agriculture is our chief employment, and everyone, even the children and women, are engaged in it. Thus, we have a habit of labor from our earliest years. Equiano's description of Igbo society and the economy in the 18th century is supported by accounts given by other Igbo slaves in the Americas. Another Igbo slave in Jamaica, known as Archibald Montet, was born in 1799 in Igbo land and was enslaved in Jamaica. He affirmed in his memoir that yams, potatoes, and Indian corn were an integral part of Igbo agriculture in the 17th and 18th century. 19th century accounts offer more perspective. In his journey to Bonny in 1840, Hermann Kohl, a German doctor, noticed that the Igbo exported agricultural produce and metal goods to Bonny. He described the Igbo as rich in natural products, including maize, rice, yam, oil or palm oil, dyewood, and cotton, and was quite indispensable in providing staple food to Bonny. Bonny is in the riverine area, right? W.E. Crew, who visited Nsukka in 1866, was impressed by the abundance of agricultural produce, and he described that in the market they abound in corn, palm oil, palm wine, fish, deer, meat.
Welcome to Aneke TV, the heartbeat of culture, truth, and innovation. From breaking news to inspiring documentaries, from grassroots traditions, mysteries of life to global perspectives, we'll tell your stories. We amplify your voice and your vision. With every screen we light up, we connect, inform, and empower. It's more than a television. This is Aneke TV. We move with the world.
Good morning, our viewers. Thank you for staying with us. And you're welcome to the first inaugural edition of The Insight, where we explore the heartbeat of politics and the voice of the people. Here on Aneke TV, I am Uche Osai. Today, we will dive into the headlines that's been dominating the news recently. We will try to bring you experts, analysts, hot debates, and the voice of your neighbors in the street. To join us on this show today is Comrade Kenneth Ofoma, former Vice President of Nigerian Union of Journalists from the Southeast Zone and a public affairs analyst. Comrade.
It's my pleasure to be here at Aneke TV.
Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Today, we'll begin to look at a myriad of issues ranging from the president's travels, the coalition, the EFCC, and the coalition. But to start with, let's take a look at our president. A lot of people has criticized him for his travels. In fact, the opposition has given the tag of the most traveled president since our inception to democracy in 1999. According to them, since his swearing in about 26 months ago, he has traveled for over 180 times. In fact, as at the last travel, they said he was the 40th since the 26 months they've sworn him in. And when we compare this, starting from the former president Olusegun Obasanjo, who was said to have traveled to about 97 countries within the 8 years of his administration. And we all know that at this point in time, he traveled a lot, trying to salvage the image of the nation, battered with years of military rule. Then, tracing it down to the era of President Goodluck Jonathan, who was heavily criticized for his travels as well. In his case, he was said to have traveled for about 88 to 100 times in 6 years. Then we narrow it down to our late former president, Muhammadu Buhari, who equally, in his 2 terms, was said to have traveled less. In fact, he is estimated to have traveled out of the country for about 108 times out of the country when compared to this present administration. Comrade, how do you see this?
Thank you very much. I don't think our challenge as a nation is the number of times our president travels. Rather, it is that he inherited a very troubling economy.
Okay.
And most of his travels have to do with trying to link up with investors, trying to attract FDIs, foreign direct investments, or even portfolio investment or investors, trying to also burnish the image of the country. Yes, the former President Olusegun Obasanjo may have inherited long years of military dictatorship and needed to also burnish the image and reputation of the country. May have also traveled to lobby for debt forgiveness, but we are seriously, heavily indebted when he came in. But those issues have not left. Those issues for which he traveled are still with us. In terms of how the international community view the nation, our successive presidents have not placed Nigeria where they should be. So when the current president came on board, he had to, of course, take some drastic policy decisions, including the removal of subsidy on petroleum products and the rebalancing of our naira to stabilize and remove arbitrage between naira and dollar, the difference, the foreign exchange. So all these things had implications on our economy. And as he's battling to put a handle to stabilize the economy, he also needed to engage the international community to attract foreign investment. Well, the only source of our foreign exchange happens to be oil only, our major source. Almost 90 to 95% of our foreign earnings come from oil. So we need to diversify. We need to bring investors to come in with their dollar. That the regulatory framework, the economic parameters have been put in place by removing subsidy, by stabilizing the naira, by introducing other economic measures to ensure that people can freely trust the economy to bring in their money to invest in the economy.
In other words, comrade, you are of the view that these travels are not just mere travels, Because according to the former presidential candidate of the Labour Party, that Nigeria doesn't need a tourist president. In fact, narrowing down to the opposition coalition, they are of the view that these travels has not shown any tangible economic gains.
Well, that is the former presidential candidate of Labour Party. As opposition member, his job is to criticize government policies and actions. Well, like I said, the president of a country is the chief image maker, the chief foreign affairs person, number one person, who can market the country, who can engage in bilateral and unilateral negotiations and agreements. And when a president of a nation is sitting with you on a table, you can almost take his words to the bank than when his representative is negotiating with you. You still be doubting in your mind. You don't know whether their president will accept this the way it is or not. But when you have a president coming to you, coming to your country to negotiate with you, or attending international events to make commitments, it gives greater level of confidence and assurance to the international community. That is what he's doing. But like also, it's a matter of style. Maybe another president may prefer to travel less, using foreign minister, using ambassadors or high commissioners, though unfortunately, due to the economic downturn, the present administration is yet to appoint ambassadors and high commissioners since their recall nearly 2 years ago. But I believe that they will do that very soon.
What, in your opinion, would you think is the reason behind not appointing ambassadors and high commissioners till this moment?
The reason they gave was that scarcity of funds, because you have to fund these foreign missions.
And then the president has to become the
maker
and the ambassador, the high commissioner of the country.
That is why he has to engage in so many of these travels.
Now, comrade, let's bring it home. There are people who are of the view that these travels, you said, is a matter of style. But some are of the view that this president, despite the challenges that the nation is facing, security and economic as well, that this president has not spent a night in any state of the nation beside Lagos. How do you justify this as a matter of style?
That is, again, that he has not spent a night in any state does not show or does not mean that the security challenges are not being fought by the security agencies. Of course, you could see some of their exploits. Of course, we have multiple security challenges ranging from terrorism, banditry, kidnapping, armed robbery, and what have you. And so, but they are battling. I believe they are battling with the challenge. And in terms of the stability of our economy, you also recall the other day the president of World Trade Organization, Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, also came and said that the economy is being stabilized. Stability is not about the rate of our foreign exchange, forex, but the fact that it has remained stable for a relatively longer period of time, and that the arbitrage, the difference between black market rate of dollar and the official exchange rate have been narrowed, so you can plan. And of course, in the area of our petroleum sector, there is also a measure of stability in terms of exploitation and exploration. The only area I believe the nation is having a very serious challenge is in terms of refining, NNPC refining, utilizing the refineries. So I I think that, of course, in terms of security, I think 2-3 days ago, the National Security Advisor, Ribadu, also addressed a press conference to showcase a number of terrorist leaders arrested due to diligent covert operations by the Department of State Services. So what it means is that even if the president is not going to states to spend the night, the security agencies are doing their job. Like I said, it's a question of style. Or maybe some other president may prefer to go to visit states, spend days, but the fact remains that he's still not the one that will be in the field to fight the insurgents or confront the criminals. Is he empowering the security agencies to do their job? Yes. Some of these his foreign visits has also led to America to remove the major obstacle towards buying arms and ammunition to fight insurgency. As you can see, last week the American government approved for Nigeria to buy high-profile military equipment and aircraft, high-precision aircraft, to be able to deploy towards curtailing the insurgency. These are, I believe, the result of his commitment and assurances to the international community that such privilege, such ammunition will not be used against the citizens, but against the insurgents and terrorists. And so, yes, he may not have scored 100%. Rate the administration in different sectors. But I think that what is apparent, what is evident, is the fact that there is stability. The country is witnessing some level of stability. Like Kojo Iweala said, what remains is now growth.
Good. Now that you mentioned Okoji, I was coming to it. She is of the view that the economy is stabilized, and like you said, it's time
to grow
the economy and cushion the effect of that trying to stabilize the economy on the man on the street. Given that, don't equally think that the citizenry need assurance from the president also with his presence?
If you ask me, yes. Everybody wants to see the president around his state or her state. But the truth is that Nigeria is running, or is supposed to be running, a federal system of government with 3 tiers of government: the federal, the state, and the local governments. And we know that under this administration, the states have been receiving the highest volume of financial support and federal allocation.
But it will be argued that the people has not felt the impact of this homogeneous allocation.
Thank you.
In fact, the president was seen to have told the governors that it's time to let the impact of this homogeneous
the grass.
Yes, in the way to wear the grass.
That is, well, because he knows.
Is that not an indictment on the government itself?
No, not government. Government is not only federal government. But we have government.
It means that there's no cohesion in policy.
This is a federal system of government. There is no need to be. You don't need to be.
But we have majority predominant APC governors in this state.
Yes, we have predominant APC.
So going by their manifestos, they all should be gearing towards the same roadmap.
That is what it should be.
But
in theory, but in practice, you know that some of the governors have their different orientations. Some of the local government chairmen have their different orientations. And their different priorities. And so, but the president himself is worried that it appears that every blame is being shifted to the federal, whereas a lot of resources are going to the states. How well are they deploying it? What kind of projects if you look at some of the projects, some of the governors are doing capital intensive, sometimes elitist projects.
Comrade.
That don't
You are beginning to sound like Bayo Ononoga.
No, I'm trying to put the facts.
But you've not seen anything wrong so far with this administration's approach to reforms, impact on the citizens.
Exactly what I'm saying. The approach and the impact is what we now need to also take a second look at. The federal government can use its influence, not by force, but influence to make the governors synchronize their own agenda and policies towards, wetting the grass, towards making life more bearable to the people.
All right.
Towards human capital development, rather than flyover roads and other similar projects that may not have direct impact on the living condition of the people. The federal government on its own can also intensify and expedite execution of those promises about palliatives, like CNG, that will bring down the cost of energy, the cost of transportation. When I say energy, electricity, of course, fuel, the cost of transportation, those things that impact the common man, the cost of healthcare,
Comrade.
the cost of food.
Comrade, in view of what you've mentioned, would you categorically state that the common man is feeling the impact, I bet positively, of these reforms?
The reforms are yet to be fully felt by the people.
On that note,
but
comrade,
like we said, from stability, we hope that the federal government will intensify the process of growth so that the benefits of the reforms will begin to permeate the various strata of the society, particularly the common man. We no longer have the middle class. There's no doubt these two major policies of the federal government, especially the way it was announced, the removal of subsidy, and the way it was executed, had a very serious impact on our economy. The inflation rate and the cost of living standard of the people, the disposable income of the people. But when you have, at the beginning of the administration, inflation rose as high as 40.
in other words,
but now it's coming down. It's now 22%.
Do we attribute that to lack of preparedness?
It's not about, it's like the manner through which they introduce these policies. Some people believe that to announce removal of subsidy on the day you are being inaugurated was not the best approach. That he should have come, received the handover notes, study the issues relating to subsidy, corruption, and even make an example of one or two persons, prosecute them, know the exact subsidy the nation is paying, how much are we really paying as subsidy. When we remove corruption, how much are we now supposed to pay? But when you say subsidy is gone, it means that you have closed the door against investigating corruption relating. Well, many people believe that the subsidy regime was filled with a lot of corruption. Some people will just go and import water and discharge at the ocean, and then you pay them subsidy.
But that was not enough to arbitrarily on the AUS one.
That's what I'm saying. I agree with that. I agree with those who believe that it should have been gradual, and we should have first of all determined how much are we really paying. What is the
All right, if you're just joining us, this is the Insight on Aneke TV, where we explore the heartbeat of politics, issues that affect our nation. And we are speaking with Comrade Kenneth, or former Vice President, Nigerian Union of Journalists, NUJ, Southeast Zone, and a public affairs analyst, a man who have seen it, witnessed it, written about it, and now is speaking about it. Comrade.
Thank you.
All right, let's talk political alignment and realignment. What do you make of the political alignment, realignment of the coalition, ADC, the rebirth of the PDP?
Well, I personally, as a progressive-minded person, and my professional orientation as a journalist, I would want the nation to witness real democracy. And democracy entails multiplicity of voices and choices as well. And so the coalition should be welcomed. They should be allowed to thrive. Opposition parties like the Labour Party, the PDP, should also be allowed to stand. I'm saying allowed because there might be invisible hands, as the members of these opposition parties allege, that there are invisible hands creating their internal crisis. If it is so, while I'm not saying it is so, but if it is so, such hands should be withdrawn and they should be allowed to operate. That is where you can get the best from our democracy. The coalition, if you recall, that is the style, the method through which the current administration came into office. Because at third attempt to upstage the then ruling party, the People's Democratic Party, the opposition failed because they were going about it based on individual efforts. But in 2014, 2015, the coalition that eventually led to formation of APC, the then Action Congress of Nigeria, ACN, the then All Nigeria People's Party, ANPP, the then Congress of People's Party, CPP, if I'm right, the some branch of PDP, breakaway faction of PDP, yes. the progressive or the new PDP, what they call the new PDP, led by the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and some elements of ABGA, led by former Governor of Imo State, Richard Sokoroja. They came together and formed an alliance that metamorphosed into a new political party called the All Progressives Congress. Because of that coalition and force, they were able to come together, project one presidential candidate in the person of former President Buhari, and it helped. At the fourth attempt of him trying to be president, he was able to muster enough votes, particularly from the south, to add to his bank of votes, his 12 million votes that he always got from the north, and then he was able to become president. Now, having done two elections in 2019 and 2023, and having seen that it will be difficult to upstage the ruling All Progressive Congress, so the opposition elements are now beginning to use the same playbook of APC to see if they can also upstage the party. But they are still having difficulties to come together to use the African Democratic Congress, ADC, as a platform. And somebody like P2B is also hoping that they will be able to recover Labour Party from Abure, which appears to be happening based on the most recent Federal High Court ruling in Abuja on last Friday, that the tenure of Abure has expired. So if the Labour Party is able to recover, if the PWB group that are in the majority, including members of the NLC and the TUC, if they are able to recover Labour Party from Abure, then it will be another strong platform to launch. But even so, Labour Party will still need to partner with other coalition parties in order to make it.
Now,
I don't think any of the presidential...
Now that you're mentioning the Labour Party,
yes.
What do you make of it that these coalition politicians, about being in ADC, has a foothold on other political party? This is different from the playbook that we witnessed in 2015.
Yeah, it's not exactly the same.
So with this, are you saying, we know that this may be quite early, but are you seeing a roadmap for victory for the APC and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu?
Like what we are doing now is trying to forecast,
yes,
trying to speculate as analysts and public affairs commentator. That politics is very fluid, and a day can make a difference. Sure. So we still have time. Like what is happening now, if they are able to get their acts together, I'm talking about the opposition parties, they may stand a good chance to give the ruling APC, a run for their money.
Comrade,
yes.
Let us analyze based on what is happening presently. You've mentioned P2B, and he has publicly stated that he will be on the ballot. Now, another person that is most likely to be on the ballot is former Vice President Atiku Abubakar. I use the word most likely. As of today, let's assume that these men will be on the ballot. And given that the PDP is witnessing a rebate, and we've seen them wooing the former president, Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, to contest, come back into the fold, contest. Now, here is the scenario. We have a P2B who is commanding from the east, a Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, also from the south, south, who from the happenings recently will seem to have the trust of the north. And then, former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, who equally is from the north and would command the vote of the predominantly northern Muslims. I ask again, do you see a roadmap for the APC and President Bola Ahmed Tinubu to victory in 2027?
Of course, from the scenario you painted, opposition will divide their votes, and that will see the incumbent.
Now, talking about this division, the APC in 2023 garnered 8,994,726 votes. That's the APC with which the president was declared winner with 12 states. Then the PDP garnered 6,984,520,000 votes, 520,000 votes, winning another 12 states. Then the Labour Party got 6,101,533 votes with 12 states and the FCT. And we are assuming as of today that these men will be in the ring come 2027. And President Bola Ahmed Tinubu had only 12 million votes, which will be balkanized in the south, and perhaps getting close to 25% from the north. In view of this, do you really see a roadmap to victory?
The scenario you painted, politics does not work like that. I can even tell you that he has consolidated more than 2023. Remember that time President Tinubu was not in office. He was racing against so many odds, including some elements within his party trying to frustrate him. But now, He is the incumbent president. He has done a whole lot of groundwork that the Labour Party candidates will have to contend with him even within the Southeast, South. And of course, the incumbent president will take the whole of Southwest. He will take majority of the, in fact, majority of his vote came from the North. Then, in 2023. So if you are going to, let me even tell you another scenario that may not work, but if it works, it may affect the incumbent president. If, like you earlier said, if Jonathan is on the ballot, former President Jonathan, which is unlikely, and Peter Obi is on the ballot, then you have the incumbent president from the Southwest, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, on the ballot. Yeah. It means that they are going to divide their votes in the South. Then former Vice President Atiku will be the only candidate from the North. And you know, politics of sentiment in Nigeria, most likely, because he got majority of his votes in the last election from the North. And with the feelings in the North currently, even though the incumbent president, the APC is still in charge of many of the states in the North, but the sentiments in terms of the holoi polloi, the grassroots, the common man in the street, they may go for their another brother.
Because
so that means
there is a disaffection for the president.
That's what I'm saying, with the current disaffection,
yes,
in parts of the North. But there is still time.
So
the current president
is losing that base.
He's not. Let me say, like I said earlier, that it is still far from the election day.
Sure.
But we are assuming the election is tomorrow.
Yes.
But the election is not tomorrow. We still have not up to 2 years, but we still have nearly 2 years for the election to happen. And that disaffection we are talking about, the president will come up with a strategy to overcome that he is currently doing. If you look at the number of Northerners he's giving political appointments, if you look at the way he's now trying to tilt developmental projects and the budget towards the North, if you look at the last Saturday's by-election, the outcome that APC won majority,
let's look into it.
Then you will understand that he may change that disaffection before long.
Are you saying
the best option for opposition is to come together?
Are you saying that with APC being able to win 12 constituency in this by-election, that is a pointer that the president is most likely, through his strategy, dominate 2027, assuming the election?
Yeah, it counts. It counts for the party.
It counts?
It counts for the party. Who made all these victories during the by-election possible? Most of them are incumbent governors, and they have majority of the governors. And no governor will allow himself to be defeated in his state. They have the resources, they have the manpower, they have the reach. To some extent, they control the coercive forces.
With that, let's bring it home to the Southeast. Do you see or think that the APC can win the Southeast, assuming, given the state of things today?
If Peter Obi will be on the ballot, it will be APC, Southeast will be a battleground. It will not be a rollover like it was in 2023 for the Labour Party candidate then. Because as we speak, the strength of APC in the Southeast has increased. Practically all the governors are promising the president, even if I don't come into your party, but I will work for you. You know, it's like a quid pro quo. You scratch my back, I scratch your back.
But this was equally the situation on ground as at 2023, when Peter Obi, like you mentioned, was said to not have any structures in place.
No, granted that he has obedient movement, who is a formidable force. They don't depend on any party. They don't depend on any structure.
No,
but that lack of structure.
Bearing that in mind, that the obedient movement is a solid structure, and given what is happening today, P2B seems to have made inroads to the north.
That if you don't have the political structure, your mass appeal, there's the level they can take you. That was what happened to Buhari.
But this mass appeal,
yes,
this mass appeal garnered
and that's the point now.
State and FCT.
Buhari had always won 12 million votes in the north. He never became president until he partnered with. Let me tell you why.
He partnered with.
Let me tell you why.
Let me tell you why. He partnered with President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
Yes, yes.
Now P2B is partnering with the north. El-Rufai is there.
Is El-Rufai the north?
Atiku Abubakar is there. You are talking about the structure.
The north is divided.
You are talking about the structure. The north is divided.
The governors, ministers, other political appointees are with the president. Those against the president are those out of power in the north. And so, what is going to happen is that if you have mass appeal, but you don't have the structure to win elections. Remember that Labour Party didn't have even polling agents in more than 40% of polling units across the country. I think we don't have a polling agent to monitor what is happening in the remotest part of Sokoto or Meduguri or Adamawa. And we can only win in some areas, but we won't know what is happening there. Granted that is making it into the north, but you still need the political structure. If he partners with the north, and if the north are able to overcome their suspicion that he may not do only one term like he's promising them, if they trust him that okay, P2B will do only one term, so that the north, the power will go back to the north, and they give him that support, and he's able to get a formidable candidate from the north, they will make a serious impact.
You've not
But if Atiku is running from the north, P2B is running from the south,
and the president.
No, forget about Jonathan. I don't believe he will run. Okay. One is that.
But let's assume. Let's assume he runs.
I can't assume because I know what is happening. There is no platform for him to even run. PDP is not available for him. Wike is still in charge of PDP, and Wike has said he will support President Bola Tinubu for second term. He is in charge of PDP. Who will give Jonathan or anybody the platform to run?
Let's bring it to the southeast Enugu State, for instance. The ECAPC making an inroad to Enugu State with the performance of a PDP governor.
You see, incumbency is a double-edged sword. If you judge the governor as being performing, when the campaign starts, the opposition will tell you the areas he has failed, his shortcomings. I won't mention them because I'm not assessing him now. Now, that's why I say it is double-edged. Meanwhile, he is trying to come into APC. So,
you have that privileged information?
Is it not obvious to you?
We've not heard him declare.
I didn't say he has declared. I said that he's making effort.
That means you have a privileged information.
Of course, it's no longer privilege. It's a common street information. It's a common knowledge.
And in your estimation, if and should the governor move to the APC, do you think he would still win Enugu State?
If the APC people in the state accept him.
If
yes,
the APC people
and
in
if
the
they yield,
accept him.
yes, if they yield the structure. Wait now, let me land on my. If they accept him and yield the structure to him to even run, I don't think you will have any serious.
All right, comrade. On that note, viewers, if you're watching us, this is still the Insight on Aneke TV, where we bring expert opinions, analysts, to x-ray and dissect issues that are making the headlines and affecting the common man on the street who live these issues, these stories, these topics. We've heard from Comrade Kenneth Ofoma former vice president of the Nigerian Union of Journalists from Southeast, and public affairs analyst, a man who has lived it, seen it, and has written about it, and now is speaking about it. Now it's left for you, our viewers, to send us your views, what you think about these issues, or the issues you want us to raise in our next edition. Reach us at Aneke TV on our social handles, Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and YouTube. And remember, your voice matters. At this point, we will draw the curtain on today's program. And thank you for being part of the inaugural edition of this program. Comrade, it's a pleasure speaking with you.
It's my pleasure to be your first guest in the inaugural program.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
Welcome to Aneke TV, the heartbeat of culture, truth, and innovation. From breaking news to inspiring entries, from grassroots traditions, mysteries of life to global perspectives, we'll tell your stories. We amplify your voice and your vision. With every screen we light up, we connect, inform, and empower. It's more than a television. This is Aneke TV. We move with the world.
Good afternoon and welcome to news across the country on Aneke TV. First, the headlines. Federal government unveils plans to modernize Nigerians' learning environment with AI. Customs intercepts expired drugs worth 130 million naira in Lagos. Police inspector arrested for robbery in Edo. UNESCO recognizes Sango Festival as World Heritage. Atletico suffer shock defeat to Espanyol in season opener. Now the news in details. I'm Deborah Wakuba. The federal government has announced sweeping reforms to modernize Nigerians' learning environment, placing digital education and artificial intelligence, AI, at the heart of its new education strategy. The Minister of Education, Dr. Olatunji Olausa, announced the initiatives, stressing that technology is no longer optional but a necessity if Nigeria's education system must remain globally competitive. Under the plan, schools across the country will be equipped with solar-powered infrastructure to ensure stable electricity, while teachers will receive digital tablets and training in modern teaching methods. The government also unveiled a partnership with local tech firms to design AI-powered platforms, including e-libraries and interactive learning tools, to enhance teaching and student engagement. Away from that, the Minister of State for Housing and Urban Development, Mr. Yusuf Abdullahi Atta, has called on the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to cancel the Bagwai-Shanono State Assembly by-election, alleging widespread violence and electoral malpractice. Mr. Abdullahi Atta made the call in Kano while briefing newsmen on the outcome of the exercise held over the weekend. He alleged that armed thugs were mobilized from within and outside Kano to disrupt the process, thereby disenfranchising voters. According to him, the thugs invaded the two local government areas of Bagwai and Shanono as early as 5 a.m. on election day, wielding dangerous weapons and chasing away residents from their homes and polling units. In the meantime, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says it will commence the 2025 Nationwide Continuous Voter Registration (CVR) exercise today. The Commission, in a statement via its X handle, said the online pre-registration will open today through its official portal, cvr.inecnigeria.org, while the in-person registration will commence on the 25th of this month at all INEC local government area offices and designated registration centers nationwide. Aneke TV correspondent Chidima Ikemede takes a look at the preparedness of Enugu residents as the exercise commences.
It was Joseph Schumpeter who posited that democracy is an indispensable mechanism for selecting leaders through elections to the actual process of choosing rulers, and franchise is a pivotal process in the electoral process. In that same vein, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has emphasized the need for popular participation in the registration of their voters' card for the 2027 general elections. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, saddled with the responsibility to organize, conduct, and supervise elections at all levels in Nigeria, including presidential, gubernatorial, and legislative elections at the federal and state levels, that also have the responsibility to register eligible voters and maintain an accurate voter register, recently announced its plans to commence the continuous voter registration (CVR) from August 18, 2025. The Commission also proposed to include inmates in the forthcoming 2027 general election, emphasizing on inmates' voting rights. This is as the electoral empire has re-echoed the need to seek the intervention of the National Assembly on the matter. When this happens, it will be the first in the history of Nigeria. These singular acts have, however, drawn different opinions from the public.
In Iboze South local government area, What we would do and had begun doing is sensitization. Sensitizing not just the youth of Igbeze South about the registration, but also sensitizing the women of Igbeze South. Don't forget, some were not around during the last round of registration. They were probably outside the local government, residing somewhere else, so they are now back home. Or conscientize them. Like you rightly said, the youths, constitute the substantial number and majority of the populace. Some of them in the last exercise were not up to age enough so as to participate in exercising their franchise. This time around, they have now grown and they can exercise that right of participation, in voting. So we conscientize them in secondary schools, in churches, in villages, during cultural festivals. These are the sensitizations we have championed, we have brought up, making it for them to know that it is as good as it is religious, that they enroll themselves in that platform where they can choose leaders and leadership of their choice in the next turn of general election in the country.
My name is Obu Obina Samson. I'm a youth administrator and also as well I work with Aneke pastor, Aneke Care Foundation. Please, concerning the continuous voters registration, I think it's very, very important because by law, once a youth is up to age of 18, he or she has the right to vote and be voted for. And the failure to go for the registration will eventually means that youth will be denied of his or her fundamental human rights of voting or voting or to be voted for. So what it means is that every youth that would want to exercise their franchise come 2027 should try as much as he or she could to go for the registration and participate in the voting. Very, very important. Without the registration, there's no way you participate. Because I know some will be clamoring for retention or change of government. But there's no way you can effectively carry out your plan without going for your registration. So it's a clarion call for every youth there. If you know that you are up to the age of 18 years, go and do your registration so that you'll be eligible enough to participate in the forthcoming election. Thank you.
Okay, I'm Aneke, a medical practitioner and Secretary Guild of Public Affairs Analysts of Nigeria, a developmental analyst. For some of us who have gotten their voters card, I say kudos. It's a civic responsibility. You can't sit on the fence and be shouting. You must actually have your voters card to say this is whom you are going to allow to be elected. The last election we saw a lot of young Nigerians who were shouting a particular candidate on the street, but turned out that they didn't have a voter's card. The election day, they only walk from afar, to those casting their ballots. Now, Aneke has given us the privilege again in the name of continuous voters register. Ideally, that registration should be a continuous process because people turn to 18, every day, every minute, every second. So I think what I would say, those that have not gotten their cards, those that have not gotten the card for the first time, those that have lost their cards, those that actually want to change, those who have just attended 18, our university students, they should avail themselves the opportunity of becoming a full-fledged citizen by having their voters card to enable them perform their civic responsibility.
And they should decentralize the registration process. What I mean by decentralization is try to engage, if it is possible, private sector partnership. Use agencies like MTN, Glo, as a means of hastening this registration. If possible, they should decentralize it even to the local government area, even ward level to be better off, to make it more easier. Instead of clustering to a place for registration, you can go to your various ward and then carry out this registration effectively without any stress.
All eyes are on Aneke to unfold its plans to the general public to ensure a free, fair, and credible election come 2027. However, this is a clarion call to the good people of Nigeria, a call to rise and choose your leaders, a call to come out in mass to register, get your PVC, and vote. It is time to take hold of our country, Nigeria, to be patriotic because Nigeria is ours. Therefore, get your PVC. Chidemi Kemede, Aneke TV.
Thanks Chidima Ekemede for that wonderful report. Please, if you have not acquired your PVC and you're up to 18, please use this window provided by Aneke to go get your card. We continue with the rest of the news. The Nigerian Immigration Service has begun the deportation of 42 out of the 192 Chinese and Philippine nationals convicted of cyber terrorism and Ponzi scheme offenses. The batch of 42 deportees who were among the 759 persons arrested during a major raid on December 10, 2024 at Onyi Jolayemi Street, Victoria Island, Lagos, was scheduled to leave Nigeria at 2 p.m. local time. It was gathered that all the convicted foreigners were transferred to the Nigerian Immigration Service. The deportation process is proceeding in phases. Others will be repatriated on Monday and Tuesday until all are returned to their home countries. In the meantime, the Nigerian Customs Service Kirikiri Lighter Terminal KLT Command has announced the interception of 240-foot containers laden with expired pharmaceutical products valued at 130 million naira in duty-paid value DPV. The Customs Area Controller KLT Command, Mr. Ehosa Edoldok, announced this during a media briefing in Lagos over the weekend. She said the containers marked HLBU 1067338 and HLBU 2239792 were seized by the command's enforcement team as part of ongoing anti-smuggling operations. The items, she added, contravene the provisions of the Nigerian Customs Service Act 2023 and other relevant import laws. Also, the Edo State Police Command says a 7 inspector and 3 civilians have been arrested for robbery, harassment, and extortion. The State Command's Police Public Relations Officer, Mr. Moses Yamu, a 7 police inspector identified as Ojo Olorutobi, was arrested alongside 3 civilian accomplices, namely Charles Ona, Joseph Ohiz, and Enoma Aho, who had been collaborating with him to terrorize residents of the city through acts of extortion and harassment. He said the arrest was made by operatives of the Ubowo surveillance team. Now over to Lagos. The Lagos State Environmental and Special Offences Unit, otherwise known as the Task Force, has impounded over 600 motorcycles and arrested 7 suspects during a routine week-long cleanup enforcement for compliance operation. The agency, in a statement signed by its spokesperson, Mr. Rahim Badeyan, stated that the operation led by its chairman, Mr. Adetayo Akerele, targeted key areas including Ishaga, Balogun bus stop in Iju Ishaga Road, Ijegun roundabout, Iyanaiba, Iyana Ishashi, Ibo Elerin, and Iyana School. Others include the Volkswagen bus stop on the stretch of Lagos-Badagry Expressway, Kola bus stop on the Lagos-Abeokuta Expressway, and other adjoining restricted routes in the areas. Over to sports. Espanyol staged a late comeback to grab a shock 2-1 win over Atletico Madrid on Sunday as Diego Simeone's men made a disappointing start to their La Liga campaign. Miller scored a late winner as Atletico stumbled to defeat in Barcelona despite leading through Julian Alvarez's brilliant goal. Atletico have been busy in the transfer market with notable arrivals including Alex Bena, David Hanko, Johnny Cardoso, and Giacomo Raspadori. in a bid to challenge Barcelona and Real Madrid for the title. Over to tourism. The United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization has formally recognized the Sango Festival as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. Minister of Art, Culture, Tourism and the Creative Economy, Hannatu Musawa, presented UNESCO's certificate of inscription to the Alaafin of Oyo, Oba Abimbola Owade I. The presentation took place at the grand finale of the 2025 World Sango Festival, held over the weekend in Oyo State. Mrs. Musawa described the achievement as a significant milestone in Nigeria's cultural landscape. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has expressed deep sorrow over the death of the Emir of Zuru in Kebbi State, Mohammed Sani Sami Gomo II, describing his passing as significant loss to Nigeria. The traditional ruler, a retired military officer and former military governor of Bauchi State, died at a London hospital over the weekend after a brief illness. In a condolence message issued by his special advisor on information and strategy, Mr. Bayo Ononuga, President Tinubu said the late Emir would be remembered not only for his service as a soldier during the Nigerian Civil War, but also for his distinguished contributions as an administrator and revered traditional ruler. He commended the monarch's decades of leadership, noting that his efforts brought peace, stability, and development to the Zulu Emirate and Kebbi State at large. The president prayed for the repose of the late Emir's soul and asked Almighty Allah to comfort his family, the Zulu Emirate Council, and the people of Kebbi State in their grief. Meanwhile, the national chairman of All Progressive Congress APC, Professor Nentawe Yilwada, has lost his mother, Mama Lydia Yilwada. The APC's acting spokesperson in Plateau State, Shitu Bamayi, announced her death in a statement issued in Jos. Mr. Bamayi said the party received news on the national chairman's mother passing with shock and sadness. To end the news round the globe, here are the main points. The federal government has announced sweeping reforms to modernize Nigerians' learning environment, placing digital education and artificial intelligence (AI) at the heart of each new education strategy. The Nigerian Customs Service NCS Kirikiri Lighter Terminal KLT Command has announced the interception of two 40-foot containers laden with expired pharmaceutical products valued at 130 million naira in duty-paid value (DPV). We also told you that the United Nations Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization has formally recognized the Sango Festival as an intangible cultural heritage of humanity. That was the news. For breaking news, eyewitness reports, please call 070-3043-71110 or visit our social media handles in Instagram, Facebook, X, TikTok, and YouTube at Aneke TV. I'm Deborah Wakuba, and thank you for joining us.
ekele mu oje wo kwani ihe eji gondo ndụ a na-atọka onye anabara nke ya na ụlọ agwọ ibe anyị adị nọ ogologo ndụ arụ ike na ọdụmma ihe eji ene ndụ anya na onye nwere ihe eji ene ndụ anya na ịrụfụta nwere ya ịmara na nsogbu riri ya olise bụ anyị na-ekene gị Chukwu okike onye ogologo ndụ na ogologo anya na-ahụ udo n'ọchịchị anyị na-ekene na-ekele gị maka tata na-ayọ maka echi maka na ọsọ maka na-eme echi anya mara na anyị adịka echi na echi anaghị agwụ agwụgwụ na ihe ya adịla anyị mma ọ ya dịla onye ọ na mma edikwazi ọgbaghị nọ ya ahịa na-anọdụ n'ala Igbo eke oyi nkwọ awụ na ọdọmma ndị be anya onwekwana ihe ọzọ na anyị enye ndị ichie dipụtara anyị na-ere ntu
na be anyị amechi na ọ bụ ọkụ na anọ anyị adawo aga ọjị a na-awa ha abịa ji n'ọjị n'eke ịkya na a na-agụ ya a na-ejide ọjị n'eka nri a na-emeghachi ihe kere ihe na ihe wara ihe Chineke nna kere enu ke anụ m akpọkụ ndị ezigbo mmadụ niile nọchawọrọ ndụ na-amechi ọkụ na anọ na anụ ọkụ na anọ na anụ Nkanụ na anụ Nta Egbe na-ese na anụ Enugu steeti na-asị biko na ọ bụ ha metere ihe ọma ka anyị na-asị ha gbadata ha bịa tara ọjị anyị na-asị eke ka eke ketere anyị ihe ọma anyị na-asị ahwọ ka ahwọ ghọtara anyị ihe ọma anyị na-asị nkwọ ka nkwọ kwọtara anyị ihe ọma anyị na-asị orie ka orie rutere anyị ihe ọma ihe ndị a niile ka anyị na-arịọ nna sị ka ị bịa mere anyị wetere anyị udo n'ala Igbo wetere anyị udo n'ala Naịjirịa wetere anyị ịhụnanya wetere anyị ọganihu wetere anyị ihe niile bụ ihe na-eme obodo adị mma nna biko ihe ndị a ka anyị na-arịọ kwetewo na imewere anyị karịa ka anyị rịọrọ n'ịhwa Chineke nna kere enu ka ana bụ Chukwu okike abịama
ndị be anyị ọjị abịa anyị na-ekene osebụlụ ụwa ekene Chukwu okike nna ketara anyị oge kere igwe ka anyị na-ata ọjị anyị chọrọ iwe ọjị ị na-awa n'otu awa n'ibe achị ka ị goziela anyị taa ka ihe ọma hụkwa ngwute anyị na-akpọke ndị nna nna anyị ha bụ abụ ndị mere ọhụma goziela anyị eke gozie orie gozie nkwọ mee ka ndị ọbụla na-agagharị na-achọghị ha ga-eri mee ọhụma na ndị sokwa ụzọ ọtọ ndị kwụkwara ụzọ na-eje n'ụzọ kwụrụ ọtọ soro ka iwu Chukwu ji wee dị Chukwu na anyị siri ka anyị wụọ gị a tata nde udo na ọgụ na-aga m n'ihu ka ọ dịrị anyị mma ndewo anyị na-ewepụta ile ọjị na-egosi ụmụnna anyị okenye na-awa ọjị ndị ọzọ na-awa ọjị na-ele enye ile ọjị nsọfụrụ maka na ebe a n'ọnụ ile ọjị a ka eji ama eziokwu iweta ọjị onye ọzọ na-asa ile ọ ga-eji na-ekwu eziokwu onye sara ile weta ile ọjị were na-ekpe ekpere were na-aga ọhụụ ọ ga-ekwuneta eziokwu ọjị a anyị na-enye nsọfụrụ ọjị lụọ ịnọ otu a ata ya o ruo ise atakwa ya mana o bido ruo na asaa ịma na ị ga-egbu anụ ị ga-egbu ọkụkọ. Welcome to Aneke TV, the heartbeat of culture, truth and innovation. From breaking news to inspiring documentaries, from grassroots traditions, mysteries of life to global perspectives, we'll tell your stories. We amplify your voice and your vision. With every screen we light up, we connect, inform and empower. It's more than a television. This is Aneke TV. We move with the world.
The soul is part of us that survives every storm. You can't see it, but you can feel it in silence, in longing, in every heartbeat that keeps going. It asks for more than food and fame. It hungers for meaning, for stillness, for the divine. The soul is where music is born, where peace begins, where truth hides. To care for your soul is the greatest act of self-love. For in the end, what we were fades, but what we are at our core remains.
Yes, dear viewer, many thanks for joining us on Aneke TV today. The program remains the arena, and this is where we meet to take on issues, matters facing us as a people in society. So you're welcome on board. My name is Chris Anebo, thanking you for having joined us. Today, our train is headed to the health sector. It is World Hepatitis Day, and these are our own way of speaking to this health issue called hepatitis. And today, to help us do justice to this discussion, is a man from the medical world. Well, a lengthy profile he's got here. He is the first Vice Chairman, Association of Professional Bodies of Nigeria, Enugu State Chapter, the immediate past Chairman, Association of Medical Lab Scientists of Nigeria, Enugu State Chapter. But then he's coming from the University of Nigeria Teaching Hospital. He took us at Enugu here, where he's serving as the Assistant Director, Medical Laboratory Services. Dr. Ejiofor Mama, you're welcome to Aneke TV.
Thank you so much.
It's a pleasure having you.
You're welcome.
All right, let's the discussion on food. How much do you know about hepatitis? Well, Doc, it's for you to tell us more about it. Hepatitis. What is this one again?
Thank you so much,
What is this one now?
my uncle. Today being the 28th day of July 2025, the world is commemorating the work of an American physician and also a geneticist. He worked tirelessly to ensure that we brought an end to a disease we call hepatitis. And he went deep to find out that one of the causative agents of this hepatitis is hepatitis B. Yes, hepatitis B. He did not only discover it, he also developed a technique of diagnosing it. He didn't end there. He also went forward to ensure that it is preventable. Yes, by getting the means of vaccinating it. And the name of this